everyone, it's Mrs. Thomas, and I have decided to revisit Kevin Henkes. Remember he wrote Lily and the Purple Plastic Purse, and what was the one with the blankie? Remember the little boy who had his blankie, or the mouse, I should say. This is called Chrysanthemum, and it's by Kevin Henkes. And he did the illustrations, so he wrote it and he drew the pictures. That's a chrysanthemum. It's a type of flower. The day she was born was the happiest day in her parents' lives. "She's perfect," said her mother. "Absolutely," said her father. And she was. She was absolutely perfect. Here, let me. "Her name must be everything she is," said her mother. "Her name must be absolutely perfect," said her father. And it was. Chrysanthemum. Her parents named her Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum grew and grew and grew. And when she was old enough to appreciate it, Chrysanthemum loved her name. She loved the way it sounded when her mother woke her up. She loved the way it sounded when her father called her for dinner. And she loved the way it sounded when she whispered it to herself in the bathroom mirror. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum loved the way her name looked when it was written with ink on an envelope. She loved the way it looked when it was written with icing on her birthday cake. Do you like when your name is written in icing on your birthday cake? I bet you do. And she loved the way it looked when she wrote it herself with her fat orange crayon. Chrysanthemum, 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 chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum thought her name was absolutely perfect. And then she started school. On her first day, Chrysanthemum wore her sunniest dress and her brightest smile. She ran all the way. "Hooray!" said Chrysanthemum. "School! Look how happy she looks." But when Mrs. Chud took roll call, everyone giggled upon hearing Chrysanthemum's name. Mrs. Chud. Don, Eve, Lois, Al, Les, Kay, Max, Sue, Bill, Pat, Tom, Sam, Ken, Joe, Rita, Victoria, Chrysanthemum. Look, she doesn't look happy, does she? She looks sad. "It's so long," said Joe. Guess how many is in the word Joe? J-O. J-O. Just how many? 2. "It scarcely fits on your name tag," said Rita, pointing. Oh, poor thing. "I'm named after my grandmother," said Victoria. "You're named after a flower." Chrysanthemum wilted. What does a flower do when you don't water it? It starts to wilt. Have you ever noticed when somebody's feelings are hurt, they start to hold their head down a little bit? That's what Chrysanthemum is doing. She thought it was Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and informed Miss Chudd that Chrysanthemum's name was spelled with 13 letters. That's exactly half as many letters as there are in the entire alphabet, Victoria explained. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. Victoria doesn't sound very nice, does she? I would think it would be cool to have your name have so many letters in it that it was half the number of the alphabet. She had 13 letters. The alphabet has 26. And it makes me sad because remember when she got to school, she loved her name? If I had a name like yours, I'd change it, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. I do not like the way Victoria is acting, do you? I think she's not being nice at all. I wish I could change my name, thought Chrysanthemum miserably. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. My name is too long. It scarcely fits on my name tag, and I'm named after a flower. She looks so sad. Oh, pish, said her mother. Your name is beautiful, and precious, and priceless, and fascinating, and winsome, said her father. It's everything you are, said her mother. Absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt much better after her favorite dinner, macaroni with cheese with ketchup, and an evening filled with hugs and kisses and Parcheesi. Have you ever played Parcheesi? It's a fun game. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that her name was Jane. It was an extremely pleasant dream. The next morning, Chrysanthemum wore her most beautiful jumper. She walked to school as slowly as she could. She dragged her feet in the dirt. Chrysanthemum, 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 she wrote. C-H-R-Y-S. She even looks like a flower, said Victoria, as Chrysanthemum entered the playground. Let's pick her, said Rita, pointing. Let's smell her, said Joe. That's not nice. They're pretending she is a flower. They're saying, let's pick her. Let's smell her. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. The rest of the day was not much better. During nap time, Victoria raised her hand and said, a chrysanthemum is a flower. It lives in a garden with worms and other dirty things. Thank you for sharing that with us, Victoria, said Mrs. Chudd. Now put your head down. I'm not sure that's all I would say to Victoria. I think I would say that is not nice, and you need to think about how to say things that make people feel good. Do you think that's what I should say if somebody says that? I just cannot believe your name, Victoria said, as the students lined up to go home. Neither can I, thought Chrysanthemum. Welcome home, said her mother. Welcome home, said her father. School is no place for me, said Chrysanthemum. They said I even look like a flower. They pretended to pick me and smell me. Oh, pish, said her mother. They're just jealous and envious and begrudging and discontented and jaundiced, said her father. Who wouldn't be jealous of a name like yours, said her mother. After all, it's absolutely perfect, said her father. Chrysanthemum felt a trifle better after her favorite dessert, chocolate cake with buttercream frosting. That sounds delicious. And another evening filled with hugs and kisses and parcheesi. That night, Chrysanthemum dreamed that she really was a chrysanthemum. She sprouted leaves and petals. Victoria picked her and plucked the leaves and petals one by one until there was nothing left but a scrawny stem. It was the worst nightmare of Chrysanthemum's life. That sounds awful. Poor Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum wore her outfit with 7 pockets the next morning. She loaded the pockets with her most prized possessions and her good luck charms. Chrysanthemum took the longest route possible to school. She stopped and stared at each and every flower. Chrysanthemum, 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 the flowers seemed to say. Why do you think Chrysanthemum is trying to take the longest possible to go to school? When you're excited to go somewhere, do you want to take long or short getting there? You want to take as short as possible, right? She's taking as long as possible. I think it's because she doesn't want to go to school. Poor thing. That morning, the students were introduced to Mrs. Twinkle, the music teacher. Her voice was like something out of a dream, as was everything else about her. The students were speechless. They thought Mrs. Twinkle was an indescribable wonder. They went out of their way to make a nice impression. Mrs. Twinkle led the students in scales. I think the scales go like this. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Then she assigned roles for the class musicale. Victoria was chosen as the dainty fairy queen. Rita was chosen as the spiffy butterfly princess. Jo was chosen as the all-important pixie messenger, and Chrysanthemum was chosen as a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy. Chrysanthemum's a daisy, Jo, Rita, and Victoria chanted, thinking it was wildly funny. Chrysanthemum wilted. She did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She thought it was absolutely dreadful. What's so humorous? Asked Mrs. Twinkle. Chrysanthemum, was the answer. Her name is so long, said Jo. It scarcely fits on her name tag, said Rita, pointing. I'm named after my grandmother, said Victoria. She's named after a flower. How do you think Mrs. Twinkle's gonna act? My name is long, said Mrs. Twinkle. It is, said Jo. My name would scarcely fit on a name tag, said Mrs. Twinkle. It would, said Rita, pointing. And, said Mrs. Twinkle, I'm named after a flower too. You are? Said Victoria. Yes, said Mrs. Twinkle. My name is Delphinium. Delphinium Twinkle. And if my baby is a girl, I'm considering Chrysanthemum as a name. I think it's absolutely perfect. Did you notice she had a big belly? That's because she's going to have a baby. Did you hear what she said? If she has a girl, what's she going to name it? Chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum could scarcely believe her ears. She blushed, she beamed, she bloomed. Look, this is what happens when the flower blooms. It stands up. It's proud. Chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum, chrysanthemum. Jo, Rita, and Victoria looked at Chrysanthemum longingly. Call me Marigold, said Joe. I'm Carnation, said Rita, pointing. My name is Lily of the Valley, said Victoria. Chrysanthemum did not think her name was absolutely perfect. She knew it. And then it says, overall, the class musical was a huge success. Chrysanthemum was absolutely perfect as a daisy. Victoria made the only mistake. She completely forgot her lines as the dainty fairy queen. Chrysanthemum thought it was wildly funny, and she giggled throughout the entire dance of the flowers. Eventually, Mrs. Twinkle gave birth to a healthy baby girl. And of course, she named her Chrysanthemum. Look, there's Mrs. Twinkle's baby. So, when I was little, guess what? I didn't like my name. My name is Brooke. That's my first name. And I didn't like it at all. I wanted my name to be Jane or Mary, which are all beautiful names. But do you know why I wanted those names? Because when I was growing up, what was really popular was having a China nameplate on your door. So all the ones that you could buy said Mary or Jane or Anne, and there was never anyone that said Brooke on it. So I could never have a nameplate on my door. And then they started making bracelets that were out of leather and they had your name stamped on it. And I could never find Brooke. They only had names that were more popular then. And Brooke was not a popular name. But then I went to a fair and they made one for me right there. And I was so excited to have a bracelet that said Brooke on it. B-R-O-O-K-E. So, even I didn't like my name. And now I think it's okay. So I love you all. I hope you like that book. And sweet dreams or good morning. Bye, everyone.